are back with Ryan's Colorado Rail Productions because Angel Brock really loves trains. This is the Gunter Train Collision 15. I'm going to go ahead and say 17 years later. So without further ado, well, I might just like this. I don't know what that was about. Here we go!
Railroading in dark territory always has its risks. Without signals to follow, all you can rely on are track warrants. And you better read those carefully, because if you don't, it could cause a catastrophic disaster. And that's exactly what happened in Texas 15 years ago. Which came to
sir, I think you're in the wrong kind of video. Because first off, the past train videos, train documentaries I've seen have had wacky audio. Probably whacker than mine. About as whack as my camera. It just doesn't seem like, it still seems like multiple people are talking when it's just one person. Somehow yours has good quality. And I don't know if I should be okay with that. Anyway, moving on. Nothing against you. Nothing against you at all. And you should not say narrator by. Ooh. There we go.
On May 19th, 2004, two BNSF rock trains were running in opposite directions on the ex-Frisco line just north of Dallas, Texas.
Oh, that's right. You don't want to take, that doesn't take time to read.
Division was Irving, Texas, where the northbound train left from. Its call sign was BNSF 6351 North, and the power was 4 SD40-2s. 6351 leading, formerly Santa Fe 5036, FURX lease unit 8099, a former BN locomotive, and another lease unit from First Union Rail 3052.
More
Canadian Pacific.
numbers.
Another BNSF SD40-2 7806.
Even more numbers.
Dark territory, or in other words, unsignaled territory. According to 6351 North's track warrant, they had priority over another rock train, the southbound. The call sign for this train was BNSF 6789 South. The power consisted of 3 locomotives. The leader was SD40-2, you guessed it, 6789.
You guessed it, more numbers.
GP60M 142, and yet another BNSF SD40-2 7138. The point on the line where the trains were scheduled to pass was Dorchester Siding, which was around milepost 657.7. The milepost numbers on this line went higher as you go further south toward Irving. The track warrant for 6789.
I am so interested in this right now.
It did not take effect until
I really
the
am.
arrival of 6351 North. Then, only after 6351
I totally know what he's talking about.
further south. The track warrant was either misread or ignored by the crew because they proceeded past the south junction of Dorchester Siding back onto the single track main where 6351 was heading in the opposite direction on the same track. At milepost 661.9, both trains came into view, getting closer and closer to one another. And then...
Jim Huff, are you okay?
The trains collide head-on near the town of Gunter, 4 miles south of Dorchester Siding. The estimated combined speed was in excess of 60 miles an hour. In the chaos of the wreck,
That's a lot of miles per hour.
6789 was killed, while the other crew members of both trains suffered injuries. It didn't take very much time for the National Transportation Safety Board to find the smoking gun, which was
Sorry, it's like after midnight.
box
I had a
7,
stressful day at work.
which says not in effect until after arrival of 6351 North at South Dorchester. You can see where the crew made an error. Although we don't really know how they made the error or what contributed to it, whether they were asleep, drunk, tired, or something else, this tiny
Could have been a mix of everything.
engineered his life.
Like a drug, really.
If 6789's crew read their track warrant more carefully,
Well, good.
the line was equipped with positive track
Whatever alcohol you decide to use at the time.
prevented. But we can't just rely on computers to do all the work for us. After the wreck, 6351 and all the locomotives of the southbound train, which were 6789, 142, and 7138, were considered totaled and scrapped. The 4 other engines involved were repaired and returned to service.
Is it more expensive just to get a new train, or is it more expensive to repair the one that was torn apart?
Can result in deadly disasters.
It's not like it's gonna be in the exact same condition.
Crews' inactions
Could be upgraded.
warrant carefully enough that puts them at fault for the Gunter Train Collision.
It's like the more he talks, the less I hear his voice.
Mistakes of the crew of 6789 15 years ago, so they know not to make those same mistakes again. So have they learned? Apparently not really, because 11 years after that, in 2015, in Georgia, a head-on collision on NS happened under very similar circumstances. So to make the railroads as safe as possible here in North America, shouldn't we just install signals everywhere and phase out track warrants entirely? Seems to me like that would be the best option.
That happened. Oh, I don't know if I want to feel like that fire one. I'm too tired. I think I'm gonna pass out. You guys have a good night, or whenever you decided to watch this video. See you later.